Hi, I'm JB Eagle. There have been many movies that feature monster transformations like An American Werewolf in London, Gremlins, The Fly and the Wolfman. That's why I'm transformed into a griffin for Halloween. Now let's review a movie with a monster transformation called Hotel Transylvania, Transformania. How is the finale of the Hotel Transylvania franchise? Let's get the facts transformed.
Look what we started, baby. You're not what I expected, 'cause all I ever wanted was some fun. Look what we started, baby. I used to look for exits, 'cause all I ever wanted was some fun.
The story may be scary. Van Helsing's mysterious invention transforms Drac and his pals into humans, and Johnny into a monster. With their new mismatched bodies, Drac and the pack must find a way to switch back before their transformations become permanent. This movie is an enjoyable addition to the franchise. It doesn't reach the quality of the original and other films based on opinion, and because of the lower budget due to the fact it's an Amazon Prime original, the animation isn't as good, which cheapens the movie. The driving force of the plot is due to Drac once again struggling to accept and trust Johnny, which has already been done before. The characters. Since there's nothing to say about the animation, let's meet the characters who were transformed into humans and one monster. Dracula is the original owner of Hotel Transylvania. At first, he is untrustworthy of Johnny running the hotel after retirement for fear of it getting ruined. But near the end, he proudly turns the hotel over to him and Mavis. Johnny is Mavis' husband and Dracula's son-in-law. He gets transformed into a dragon by Van Helsing's transformation ray. When Dracula lies to him about only monsters allowed to run the hotel, he becomes one in hopes of running the place. Mavis is Dracula's daughter and Johnny's wife. She travels to South America to reverse her father and husband's transformations before they become permanent. At the end, she and Johnny finally run the hotel for Drac's retirement. Erica Van Helsing is Dracula's wife. She persuades him to have faith in Johnny running the hotel. She accompanies Mavis and the other monsters in helping her transform them and Drac back into monsters and Johnny back into a human. Abraham Van Helsing is the hotel's inventor. He invents a transformation ray that turns Johnny into a monster and the monsters into humans. He first tried it on a hamster named Gigi, and it turned the hamster into a ravenous beast. Griffin mentions in the first film that he has curly red hair, after Dracula insults Johnny for his. When Griffin finally becomes visible, it turns out he wasn't kidding about his hairstyle and color. Here's facts to be transformed. The only original actors that are involved in all 4 Hotel Transylvania films are Selena Gomez, Andy Samberg, Steve Buscemi, David Spade, Fran Drescher and Molly Shannon. Adam Sandler, Kevin James, and Sandler's daughter Sadie Sandler were in the first 3 films before they were replaced by Brian Hull, Brad Abrell and Zoe Berry in this film, and CeeLo Green was in the first film before he was replaced by Keegan-Michael Key in all 3 sequels. All 3 Hotel Transylvania sequels have been released in the same years as a Jurassic World film. Hotel Transylvania 2 was released the same year as Jurassic World. Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation, was released the same year as Jurassic World. Fallen Kingdom and this film was released the same year as Jurassic World. Dominion. In the third film, The monster's flying gremlin air were perfectly content with the plane ride, while Johnny, who was the only human there, was on edge due to how big a death trap it was. Here, Johnny, who has been turned into a monster, is at ease while Dracula, now a human, is in full panic mode, marveling at how unsafe it all is. This is the first Hotel Transylvania sequel not to be released the same year as a Paramount Pictures Mission Impossible film, of which Hotel Transylvania 2 was released the same year as Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation, and Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation, released the same year as Mission Impossible, Fallout. This is the first Hotel Transylvania sequel not released the same year as a Goosebumps movie. Hotel Transylvania 2 was released the same year Goosebumps was released. Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation, was also released the same year Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween, was released. Steve Buscemi, who voices Wayne the werewolf, gets turned into a human. When his wolf pups are looking for their dad, he says his name is Walter. This is a possible nod to Hubie Halloween, an Adam Sandler Netflix movie, in which Steve plays a man who thinks he's a werewolf and is named Walter. This film was scheduled to be released in October, but got pushed to January 2022, which makes this the first Hotel Transylvania film released on that month. It's also the first film released 4 years apart, as the first two sequels were released 3 years apart. Fans of Brian Hull expressed much excitement about the film after it was announced that he would be voicing Dracula. Though with Hull himself being a well-known fan of Hotel Transylvania, its fan base, and his own, have always had some overlap. This is the first animated fourth installment film to be produced in the 1.85:1 aspect ratio, unlike the previous 3/4 films which were produced at 2.35:1, and the first one to have the same widescreen aspect ratio as its predecessors. This is the first Hotel Transylvania film not to feature Adam Sandler as Dracula. Instead, Dracula is voiced by Brian Hull, who also voiced the character in Monster Pets, a Hotel Transylvania short. The first Hotel Transylvania film to be released by a different distributor other than Sony Pictures Releasing, since the rights were sold to Amazon Studios in August 2021. The Columbia logo before the film turns into Blobby. In the first two installments, it turned into Mavis Bat form. The Columbia logo does not appear in the third installment. In the bus scene, Drax says, "I swear, you have gotten bigger," to Johnny, hinting to us about the monsterification Ray's instability we learn later in the movie. Conservative actors Adam Sandler and Kevin James, who had prominent roles in the first 3 films, were excluded from this fourth installment. The first Hotel Transylvania film not to feature Adam Sandler's daughter Sadie Sandler as Winnie. Instead, Winnie is voiced by Zoe Berry. Van Helsing describes to the two protagonists the 3 steps of their adventure in the jungle the same way as Dora the Explorer. The first Hotel Transylvania film not to feature Kevin James as Frankenstein. Instead, Frankenstein is voiced by Brad Abrell. The scene where the hotel is rebuilt and had many changes to Mavis and Johnny may tease an Amazon Prime television series. Johnny doesn't start losing his humanity until his temper is lost after finding out Dracula didn't trust him to run the hotel. Jim Carrey was considered to replace Kevin James as the voice of Frankenstein before Brad Abrell was confirmed. Steve Carell was considered to replace Adam Sandler as the voice of Dracula before Brian Hull was confirmed. Even though the device changes between monster and human, Blob somehow ends up as jelly and not human. Sony Pictures Animation's first and Columbia Pictures' second Amazon Studios exclusive film. This is the first Hotel Transylvania film not to be directed by Genndy Tartakovsky. The shortest Hotel Transylvania film, having a runtime of 87 minutes. Unlike the first three films, this one's title is shown at the very end. This is the first Hotel Transylvania film to have no antagonists. The first Hotel Transylvania film to have a co-director. Mavis traps Gigi in pipes that resemble a giant habit rail. The film begins and ends with the hotel being built. As soon as Halloween ends, I will transform back into an eagle. I better go celebrating this spooky holiday some more. I'll see you on my next review.
About you every day, no, I can't stop now. Look what we started, baby. You're not